to further international peace and security, to promote the political, economic, social, and educational advancement of the inhabitants of the Trust territories, and their progressive development towards self-government or independence, as may be appropriate to the particular circumstances of each territory and its peoples, and the freely expressed wishes of the peoples concerned, and, as may be provided by the terms of each trusteeship agreement, to encourage respect for human rights and for fundamental freedoms for all without distinction as to race, sex, language, or religion, and to encourage recognition of the interdependence of the peoples of the world, and to ensure equal treatment in social, economic, and commercial matters for all members of the United Nations and their nationals, and also equal treatment for the latter in the administration of justice, without prejudice to the attainment of the foregoing objectives and subject to the provisions of Article 80. Article 77. The trusteeship system shall apply to such territories in the following categories as may be placed thereunder by means of trusteeship agreements: territories now held under mandate, territories which may be detached from enemy states as a result of the Second World War, and territories voluntarily placed under the system by states responsible for their administration. It will be a matter for subsequent agreement as to which territories in the foregoing categories will be brought under the trusteeship system, and upon what terms. Article 78. The trusteeship system shall not apply to territories which have become members of the United Nations, relationship among which shall be based on respect for the principle of sovereign equality. Article 79. The terms of trusteeship for each territory to be placed under the trusteeship system, including any alteration or amendment, shall be agreed upon by the states directly concerned, including the mandatory power, in the case of territories held under mandate by a member of the United Nations, and shall be approved as provided for in Articles 83 and 85. Article 80. Except as may be agreed upon in individual trusteeship agreements made under Articles 77, 79, and 81, placing each territory under the trusteeship system, and until such agreements have been concluded, nothing in this chapter shall be construed in, or of itself to alter in any manner the rights whatsoever of any states, or any peoples, or the terms of existing international instruments to which members of the United Nations may respectively be parties. Paragraph 1 of this article shall not be interpreted as giving grounds for delay or postponement of the negotiation and conclusion of agreements for placing mandated and other territories under the trusteeship system as provided for in Article 77. Article 81. The trusteeship agreement shall in each case include the terms under which the trust territory will be administered and designate the authority which will exercise the administration of the trust territory. Such authority, hereinafter called the administering authority, may be one or more states, or the organization itself. Article 82. There may be designated, in any trusteeship agreement, a strategic area, or areas which may include part, or all of the trust territory to which the agreement applies, without prejudice to any special agreement or agreements made under Article 43. Article 83. All functions of the United Nations relating to strategic areas, including the approval of the terms of the trusteeship agreements, and of their alteration or amendment, shall be exercised by the Security Council. The basic objectives set forth in Article 76 shall be applicable to the people of each strategic area. The Security Council shall, subject to the provisions of the trusteeship agreements, and without prejudice to security considerations, avail itself of the assistance of the Trusteeship Council to perform those functions of the United Nations under the trusteeship system relating to political, economic, social, and educational matters in the strategic areas. Article 84. It shall be the duty of the administering authority to ensure that the trust territory shall play its part in the maintenance of international peace and security. To this end, the administering authority may make use of volunteer forces, facilities, and assistance from the trust territory in carrying out the obligations towards the Security Council undertaken in this regard by the administering authority, as well as for local defense and the maintenance of law and order within the trust territory. Article 85. the functions of the United Nations with regard to trusteeship agreements for all areas not designated as strategic, including the approval of the terms of the trusteeship agreements and of their alteration or amendment, shall be exercised by the General Assembly. The Trusteeship Council, operating under the authority of the General Assembly, shall assist the General Assembly in carrying out these functions. Chapter 13. The Trusteeship Council. Composition. Article 86. The Trusteeship Council shall consist of the following members of the United Nations: those members administering trust territories, such of those members mentioned by name in Article 23 as are not administering trust territories, and as many other members elected for 3-year terms by the General Assembly as may be necessary to ensure that the total number of members of the Trusteeship Council is equally divided between those members of the United Nations which administer trust territories and those which do not. Each member of the Trusteeship Council shall designate one specially qualified person to represent it therein. Functions and powers. Article 87. The General Assembly and, under its authority, the Trusteeship Council, in carrying out their functions, may consider reports submitted by the administering authority, accept petitions, and examine them in consultation with the administering authority, provide for periodic visits to the respective trust territories at times agreed upon with the administering authority, and take these and other actions in conformity with the terms of the trusteeship agreements. Article 88. The Trusteeship Council shall formulate a questionnaire on the political, economic, social, and educational advancement of the inhabitants of each trust territory, and the administering authority for each trust territory, within the competence of the General Assembly, shall make an annual report to the General Assembly upon the basis of such questionnaire. Voting. Article 89. Each member of the Trusteeship Council shall have one vote. Decisions of the Trusteeship Council shall be made by a majority of the members present, and voting. Procedure. Article 90. The Trusteeship Council shall adopt its own rules of procedure, including the method of selecting its president. The Trusteeship Council shall meet as required in accordance with its rules, which shall include provision for the convening of meetings on the request of the majority of its members. Article 91. The Trusteeship Council shall, when appropriate, avail itself of the assistance of the Economic and Social Council and of the specialized agencies in regard to matters with which they are respectively concerned. Chapter 14. The International Court of Justice. Article 92. The International Court of Justice shall be the principal judicial organ of the United Nations. It shall function in accordance with the annexed statute, which is based upon the statute of the Permanent Court of International Justice, and forms an integral part of the present charter. Article 93. All members of the United Nations are ipso facto parties to the statute of the International Court of Justice. A state which is not a member of the United Nations may become a party to the statute of the International Court of Justice on conditions to be determined in each case by the General Assembly, upon the recommendation of the Security Council. Article 94. Each member of the United Nations undertakes to comply with the decision of the International Court of Justice in any case to which it is a party. If any party to a case fails to perform the obligations incumbent upon it under a judgment rendered by the court, the other party may have recourse to the Security Council, which may, if it deems necessary, make recommendations or decide upon measures to be taken to give effect to the judgment. Article 95. Nothing in the present charter shall prevent members of the United Nations from entrusting the solution of their differences to other tribunals by virtue of agreements already in existence, or which may be concluded in the future. Article 96. The General Assembly or the Security Council may request the International Court of Justice to give an advisory opinion on any legal question. Other organs of the United Nations and specialized agencies, which may at any time be so authorized by the General Assembly, may also request advisory opinions of the Court on legal questions arising within the scope of their activities. Chapter 15. The Secretariat. Article 97. The Secretariat shall comprise a Secretary-General and such staff as the organization may require. The Secretary-General shall be appointed by the General Assembly upon the recommendation of the Security Council. He shall be the Chief Administrative Officer of the organization. Article 98.